The match reaction: Leeds United 0, Manchester City 2. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like as always, everybody. And yeah, look, to get straight into it, and we will be doing white noise a little bit later on with Brownie. So tune in for that one. It's obviously the game weeks where you've got Tuesday coming up, so we've got to be a little bit careful because we've got previews coming tomorrow on Sunday night on the channel and stuff like that, because it's a quick turnaround, isn't it? And we're full focus on Sunderland now. And I tell you what, it feels a heck of a lot better putting the performance in we've just done up against Manchester City as opposed to what it may have been. If we'd have got absolutely trounced 3 or 4-0, and let's be honest, lads and lasses, put in the Arsenal performance, where for me, this is shown again, like the other City game, that there is a level to this Leeds United side where you can absolutely get in opponents' faces who are superior when it comes to quality. That's exactly what you wanted against Arsenal. We didn't have that against Arsenal. That was my main gripe with the rhetoric and the narrative around Arsenal. Oh, they're just too good. They're the best team. And they are the best team, absolutely. But this Manchester City team might, in actual fact, be the best team at the end of the season. And that's 2 games now where we've gone with them, and we've gone, apart from the first 45 minutes at the Etihad, we've gone toe-to-toe with them, really. And I saw a couple of comments saying, it felt like Man City were in cruise control. I don't think that. I think when you look at City and when you look at those stats there in particular, the possession naturally will be dominated by Pep Guardiola's side, and how they're able to move and manipulate space, and the rotations are elite. They're very good, and they are honed in a way of which is unique in world football, and that's the Pep way. But I couldn't have asked really for a better Leeds United performance. And at the end, I'm turning round and saying, I'm absolutely gutted. I'm gutted at that. I am. Now, if I'm a Leeds United, been a Leeds United fan, if we'd have come out of that and got trounced 4-0, I'd be feeling not worried as such, but I'd be a little bit worried about the morale. I'd be a little bit worried about the confidence levels, maybe going into a Sunderland game. And I'd be thinking to myself, that's not great, is it? It's not great for your confidence overall. But I thought in that game in particular, Leeds we battled well. There was quality in certain phases. And this is what I was saying 3 minutes in, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has to score. He has to score, people. And we can give him that license because he's been excellent for us, but it's not actually that difficult to finish. Aaronson's done exceptionally well, who I thought was really good when he was on the pitch. Aaronson did exceptionally well. Dom had actually beaten the offside trap, and he's got to score. He's absolutely got to score. You do not get those chances against Man City. And we got quite fortuitous afterwards. We had the likes of Aaronson going through on goal. Would it have been offside? Who knows? Probably should have done a little bit better, but I don't think we all expected Aaronson to beat Donnarumma when he closed the angle like that. You had another Dominic Calvert-Lewin chance where I thought he should have probably laid the ball back off to Anton Stack. And then you had an excellent goal. Like, I was maybe looking at a few fine details when it came to individual mistakes, when it came to City's goal. But you look at the movement, you look at the fact that Aït-Nouri got to the byline. I thought they were doing that really well in the game, getting to the byline, firing those sort of low drilled crosses across the box. And you can absolutely see where Erling Haaland is able to profit in that side, because he's just going to be there tapping it in. And I think there's a couple of occasions where they hit the byline in this game, bounce that ball across the edge of across the byline into the box. And I think Haaland might have nicked probably a couple today in that centre forward space. But I thought overall, Leeds, I think we should be proud of that. I think it was a good performance. And as I've said multiple times, me coming out of that game and being disappointed that they got away with that, because they did get away with it. I understand that they dominated play. I completely understand that they had the ball and this, that, and the other. Completely get that. But I think in terms of out-and-out chances, ones that I can remember anyway, Leeds United were the better team. Leeds United were definitely the better team in that game for me overall. So look, City are excellent. They are very decent, and maybe it's with white tinted glasses on that I'm looking at that, and maybe they were in cruise control. Darlow made a brilliant save towards the end from Mark Guéhi, but as I've said, I think the chances were relatively equal. And we're going up against a team there who have billion plus spent on that squad in X amount of years, and Leeds are a newly promoted side. I just love this team. I really do. I've connected with this team so much. I think the effort, the energy, the endeavor, and the quality as well. Today, I felt was the first time where like Dom would go through on goal, or maybe we'd pick the wrong option in front of goal, and I thought it kind of showed. I think throughout the season, Leeds have actually been relatively clinical with what we've had in games up top. You know, I think we've been very, very decent. I don't think it's been a season really of Leeds missing chance after chance after chance. I don't think it has been that. I think today you kind of saw maybe at points a lack of quality, maybe a lack of confidence. I thought Mark Gay was imperious for them at the back, and Dom was doing well against him. But I think as well, you know, closing out that half was really important. Closing out that half was really important. But when you've got a team that are able to do what they're able to do in terms of space, and effectively you've got Bernardo Silva centrally, Rodri centrally, and then you've got Nico O'Reilly centrally as well, who are real top creators in this division. So even Nico O'Reilly this season, and stopping that is very difficult. To just put a little bit of critical thought into it, which I always like to do. I thought it was probably Ampadu's worst game of the season. If I'm to be critical, I thought for a player who I absolutely love, adore, and praise pretty much every single time he plays, and especially in the Premier League. I thought his on-the-ball work was poor today. I thought he lost out a heck of a lot in that midfield. Very similar with Gruev. I thought you saw levels today when it came to Gruev, and I thought it was pretty obvious the parity between Gruev and probably every single midfielder on that pitch. I thought he was making a couple of decisions, of which, again, the Bulgarian takes a little bit too long on the ball. He was giving City free kicks in dangerous areas. Just wasn't really up to that level today, in my opinion. And I actually thought when Farke went to the top two, the front two, Aronson should have stayed on the pitch. I thought Aronson was really good today. I predicted in the preview that this wasn't the game for him because I thought he'd lose the ball in the middle of the pitch, dilly-dally on it, and you can't have City recovering the ball consistently, because we even saw with that Semenyo chance earlier on where he hit it over the bar, sliced it over the bar. They just can cut you open with one pass. Ryan Cherky's that good. He can cut you open with one pass. So you can't allow that. They effectively force you to move the ball quickly, and they know that they're better in every circumstance. So they force you to move the ball quickly, but then what's your decision? Because we're going to press you again. Are you going to knock it long? Because that's fine. We'll deal with that in the channels. We're good enough. We're quick enough. We're physical. We're athletic enough to deal with that in the channels. Or what you're going to do? You're going to play it inside. So we're going to press your touch there. You're going to play it inside. We're going to press his touch as well, and he's not going to be able to live with it. So what City do, they squeeze the life out of you. So I think when you're looking at that as well, the decisions that Leeds were making overall were good. I thought Stack was easily the best player. I would say on the pitch for Leeds, again, so important in terms of his ball carrying. His decision making is always on point. I thought Ampadu's decision making was off today. I thought Gruev's was. I thought Aronson was really decent today. And I'm just pivoting back to Brendan. I think his decision making was good. I think he got robbed of the ball once, which I was very worried about. I thought that delivery into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, where Dom had to finish it, was excellent. It couldn't have been a better delivery for him. I thought, that little chance where he might have been offside, but Stat played it through and Aronson was bearing down on goal. It was a tough one to finish that. But I think actually when Brendan went off, Leeds got worse. And I don't actually think he looked that tired. I thought he was pressing really well on Ruben Diaz's touch whenever Leeds, were pressing as a unit. I actually thought when he went off, Leeds got a lot worse. And I thought Farke got that completely wrong, if I'm honest with you. And I think you could tell tactically there, because what he did effectively is Ampadu was playing as deep as a sweeper anyway, really, or like a third or fourth centre-back. So he was effectively that DM, and he was very, very deep in this game, Ethan Ampadu, clearly worried about Cherky and Bernardo Silva and even Rodri sort of trying to maraud through centrally. The problem was then what you've then got with Gruev is someone who's trying to occupy that role as well. So then City have completely suffocated you. They've got players everywhere. They've got players marauding into that middle of the pitch. And then you've got two defensive midfielders when you're trying to get back in the game. So the balance of the midfield, and Farke got that wrong. It was all off. It was all off. We went to a two up top. And then the distance between Gruev and Ampadu and Mecha and DCL is massive. It's massive. And it took Mecha a long time to get his first touch of the ball, really. So I thought Farke got that wrong. I thought the balance should have been Ampadu, Aronson, and Stack in the midfield three. And then at least you've got more of a connector in Aronson to the front two, and Stack and the front two, and then you've got just that anchor in Ampadu. I thought he got it wrong bringing Gruev on and then keeping Gruev on. Then he took Gruev off. I liked the change as well because he was going for it. I think my major frustration with today was obviously the result, 100%, and their shenanigans where they're falling round all the time. And look, plucky little Leeds getting away with it, City getting away with it against Leeds, plucky little Leeds, promoted Leeds. And then with all that money spent on the side, the time wasting, the falling over, they're trying to talk at the referee. Guardiola's screaming in the fourth official's ear for full time. It's a compliment. It's a massive compliment. But I think, like I was just referring to there, the thing that annoyed me a little bit today was the usage of Beal. I thought Joe was okay today. I think he maybe had a part to play in that first goal as well. And I know there were going to be comments in the section below saying Connery wasn't directly involved. There was a phase before where he should have cleared it and he didn't. And then, obviously the goal happened and it was a very, very good, well-worked goal. But I think in that central part of the defence, I think you've got to start Beal. I think Beal is better than Joe Rodon, as much as I love Joe, and I do. And I think in a game of which Man City have conceded the second most goals when it comes to set pieces, I didn't think we looked effective today at all. And with the amount of throw-ins we got, with the amount of corners we had, which was a fair few, as you can see on screen there, Leeds is 5 to City's 3. I actually thought they made the most of corners in comparison to us. You see that Gay header, which was a brilliant save by Darlow. Leeds didn't really do anything from corners until Beal came onto the pitch, and right at the end, he heads it and it goes a yard wide, and that was the big chance. I knew Leeds did have a chance towards the end, and that was the chance. For me, in a game like that, strategically, you think to yourself, well, we've got to impose ourselves on set pieces. Joe Rodon isn't imperious in the opposition box. He never has been for Leeds. Strouk's always been better at him in the opposition box, better than Rodon in the opposition box. And Beal simply has to be on there. He has to be on. You don't lose anything when it comes to the ball at the feet. You don't lose anything when it comes to, the efficiency on the ground. I think he's maybe a little bit less quick than Joe Rodon. Maybe that's what Farke was looking at in terms of covering space, but I think he's unpredictable, which is a good thing against Man City in terms of that long ball or that short ball. I think it's very predictable what Joe's going to do. He's always going to funnel it out to the right back. And I just think in the air as well, like you saw, Beal's just a monster. He's 6'4". He'll head his grandma. He's that sort of player. And immediately comes on stat with a lovely delivery. And his stat was, apart from one, which pretty much ate Nuri's legs, he was putting some good deliveries into the box. But Leeds did not make enough of the set pieces today. And that was disappointing to me, because you look at the amount of throw-ins, you look at the amount of corners we had, at least we had to make good of one or two of those, and we didn't. City dealt with it really well. And then you're kind of looking at open play, aren't you, which is naturally going to be hard for Leeds up against a side as good as that at pressing, at recovering the ball. But yeah. And can I also say, I wanted to bring this up, and I want to put something in the chat. What about the handball? See, that is probably the biggest annoyance to me after the game. What about the handball? Which is as clear as day. And I'll tell you what the problem is. And I noticed this with Villa, because there was a pull down of, I believe it was Ampadu, but it could have been Rodon in the last game. Nobody appealed. So because the officiating and the general overview of fouls and just the landscape of keeping the game fair in this country is so, excuse my French, shite, so poor. It's got to be one of the worst in Europe, one of the best standards in terms of caliber and quality, but the officiating is abysmal. What happened last week is, I think it was Rodon or Ethan was dragged down. No one appealed. Ethan just kind of went, oh, what about that ref? Nothing else. Guarantee you, if something like that happened with Villa or City or whoever, they crowd the referee, and unfortunately, that then forces the referee to do this. Every time. Goes like, okay, yeah, right, okay, we'll have a look at it. They have a look at it. They speak to people about it, okay? How, when that's slowed down, have they even looked at it? And if they have looked at it, to not give that as a penalty is beyond the realms of comprehension. If they haven't looked at it, that then is a basic understanding that unless you, as a group, go around the referee, which they deter you to do. They deter you to do, because Farke did it at the end, went to have a conversation clearly about the penalty, then gets red carded. This is why, after the game, the referee, whoever else, but mainly the referee, should go on to public television and explain decisions. So what I want to see as a paying customer of Sky Sports and the Premier League, I want to see the referee come on afterwards and tell me why that's not a penalty. So slow it down in front of him, like we all see, because we all see the slowed down version. It can be for our team or against our team. Someone tell me after the game, from an official standpoint, why that's not a penalty. And I guarantee you that effectively means that that smoking gun is pointing at you every match when it comes to accountability. That is what I want to see. It's not getting rid of VAR or doing anything like that. But the fact that that maybe wasn't even looked at is a sham. So it's completely contradictory, because if you go up to the ref, you surround him, they're trying to get rid of that. They don't want you to do that. I've said that this season, right at the very start, want to get rid of that. And you do that, you're going to get a yellow card. Okay. But then the only way you get VAR to look at it and for the ref to acknowledge certain decisions, which are blatant because they can't actually do it themselves, is by surrounding the referee. Excuse my French again. Fucking work that out. It is backwards. It's absolutely backwards, this country, when it comes to officiating. That is a blatant penalty. And they got away with that. Staggering how that maybe wasn't even looked at. Literally, his arm's out there, unnatural position, penalty. Ball's landed on his arm. It was about to land at Lucas Metra's feet. He basically interrupts the flow of the ball. Could have landed at Metra's feet, and he could have struck the ball in the back of the net. Arm out there, obstructs the ball, penalty. It's a penalty all day, every day of the week, twice on a Sunday. But because we've not surrounded the ref, because we've not made a hoo-ha of it, nothing gets given. But that was a penalty. That should have been a penalty to Leeds United. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. The Shirky kick out on. See, I actually wasn't as peeved off about that, but it's just hilarious, isn't it? Not even looked at. Not even looked at. That was funny, that, because if it was the other way, Bernardo Silva would have been round the ref. You'd have got Shirky rolling round 8 or 9 times. You'd have got Rodri in the referee. Oh, should I go have a look at you? You can see it happening. We are too nice sometimes as a team. And that's the frustrating thing. And you don't want to be like that, but it is what it is. You've got to play that gamesmanship slant. You've got to do it. The lads all did appeal, Connor. No, the lads didn't all appeal. They just went like that. No one got around the referee. Nobody got around the referee. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying anyway. There's a couple of comments in here. A random Yorkshireman says, so frustrated but proud as well. Really shows how far we've come. That we should be close to winning against City. Just wish we'd score. LOL. Yeah, indeed, mate. I mean, we were absolutely brilliant. We were absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant today. And I think it was largely frustrating, as always, everybody, that we just couldn't get it. We couldn't get it. Couldn't get it over the line, I guess. Apparently VAR said it was ball to hand. Nah, for me it's a pen. It's a pen. They got lucky. They got lucky. For me anyway. Something as well here as well. Man City created 0.00 XG against Leeds before the 40th minute. Guardiola has apparently said he is relieved after the 1-0 win. Yeah. I would say as well, everybody, I think I've got to say this on here as well, because not. Yeah. Yeah, not great for the. I think I've got a duty to say this as well. We had the Ramadan fasting break as well, wasn't great to hear fans booing that. If I'm honest with you, that is not, it's not a good look and it's not right. And I think maybe fans who were booing that should take a little bit of a look at themselves. I'll say that I didn't think that was right whatsoever. Thoughts on Joel Peru's a sub, but not great, mate. Not ideal. Joe says, I feel so cheated from that. We had chances to score, which we never normally do. Then the ref handball stamp on Greb, rode on in a headlock, and the ref blowing the whistle when we looked through and got, yeah, 100%. Paul says, when they are checking VAR possible pens, they shouldn't play on the big screen in real time, so don't just skim over it. Indeed. Most umpiring performance all season. Woke up at 4:30 in Australia for that. Absolutely criminal. Do you think Biel stops that goal? I guess it's difficult, mate. I guess it's difficult. But I just think Biol is an overall presence, gives Leeds a little bit more in that game. I can't say if he'd have stopped that goal, to be honest with you. But I think effectiveness from a set pieces, he'd have been much better in that game for me, to be fair. And that's where City are weak. That's where City are weak. The academic says, when that happened, I said, oh, I don't know how you could just yank people down in the box. I'll have to try that next time I play and see how the refs feel. Indeed. What was all that faff after the game with Bogle and Farker? I'm not sure, mate. I didn't see anything with Barker, with Bogle. Indeed. God. Wow, some of the chat today, crazy. So let's keep it on football, guys, shall we? But you know, I know I just took it away from that, but I just think it's respectful to do so. If you don't agree, that's fine. It is just what it is. I didn't think it looked great, but it is what it is. Wasn't about not making a fuss. It's because it's not City, indeed. But do you know what, guys? Overall, it's a proud moment, isn't it? It's a proud moment to be a Leeds fan. And look, we've lost the game. We've lost the game, and we've come across a little bit. You know, we've come across as we've come to the party with a little bit more better outings than that, obviously, over the past however many years when we've been in the Premier League. When you're looking at the you know, 90s and noughties and stuff like that, and maybe a lot of you are thinking, Connor, how can you say that 1-0 loss to City is great? And it's not great, of course it's not, but it's given me a lot of positivity going into the next game. That, and I'm really proud of the lads, and I do love this team. I think they've just been excellent this season, really good, above the stations, and they just don't give you any sort of understanding that they're going down. That's how it feels at this moment in time. We've kept away West Ham, which is really important as well. And then it's up to Forest tomorrow. We'll see what they do. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to be back on in about an hour with Brownie. Thanks so much. Leave your thoughts on the video. As always, keep it respectful. I'm going to say that again. They are the guidelines of this channel. Keep it respectful. Be kind in the comment section.